Good morning. Hey, so first vlog, I guess I should get at the title quickly. Denomination. What denomination am I? I call myself a Berean because there's every denomination out there that has something good to contribute and then something I don't necessarily agree with. I haven't found a perfect denomination, if you want to say that. And I'm like, well, who are you to judge? I'm just saying for myself. I'm just being myself. Now, if you're asking, well, were you ever in a denomination? Of course I was. I didn't go to church until 8th grade, and I even remember in 8th grade, my best friend Scott Yates was saying something about Jesus, and I was like, ugh, change the subject. I don't want to hear that stuff. And I was like, so I don't know if I think it was after that. So I remember that we started going to church, and I did not like it. The guys up there screaming. But I went to the summer camps, and the first one, I remember I was definitely not saved. I was trying to witness this one kid I met named Marty. He was in my cabin. Trying to get him, I was talking about like New Age stuff, I guess. I was an atheist, but I was just, I dabbled in some of that stuff because I thought maybe there's something validity to it. I wasn't an atheist that wasn't spiritual. I was an atheist that believed there's also an ultra realm or a possibility of magic. It's, I was 8th grade. What do you expect? So, I remember asking him his zodiac sign, and he asked his parents who were there, and they said, oh, Christians don't have zodiac signs. I was like, what? They're not born? Anyways, I wasn't saved at that camp, but I did go to a different camp right after 9th grade, and that's the camp where I got saved. And you might be saying, what does that have to do with the denomination? Well, it was an independent fundamental Baptist church, and it was an independent fundamental Baptist camp. Now, the way I got saved, I talked about this several times. In case you haven't heard, it was a Wednesday night at camp, and the Holy Spirit just fell upon that place, and I was afraid. I was trying to get out of it first. Like, oh gosh, I was like, my brain was like, okay, if I go out this way, will I get stopped? I tried to figure out a way out the back door to get out of there, and people started hugging me, and I was like, what is going on? Why are they hugging me? Ugh. And because I was not brought up with hugging or any kind of that stuff at all. And then I just broke down and started crying, and I was thinking, God, if this is you, this is all powerful. This is what I need, and this is what I want, and I surrender. I just let God know that this is something real, and my life totally changed ever since then. So, did I stay in that church? No, I think 1989 was the last time. I can't remember when I went last summer camp, but I'm trying to think after that. I know the next year, some girl stood up and said she's going to take her Bible to school every day. I was like, well, if she can do it, I can do it, and I did. So I started going, at school, there was a substitute teacher that was, what is it, like a Pentecostal or charismatic or whatever. And she was telling me about the gifts of the Spirit, and I was like, and I investigated it. And about healing and things like that, and I do now believe in healing, and I just don't believe in sending people money to get healed, or I'm not one of those people that's a sensationalist. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't believe in sensationalism. So as far as people getting healed, if you humble yourself, I believe that God is more than able to heal you, of course. And if he doesn't heal you, there's a purpose. And I've been healed of several things. Like I told you in a previous video, I think. If not, I'll tell you again that one of my friends, Larry, had a tumor in his spine. We prayed on the phone, and he got healed immediately. That's a documented fact. His mom came in to check his back. This is back when I was in high school. And when she came in that night, she couldn't find it. She rushed into the hospital to find out what was going on. And the doctor said there's nothing there. He couldn't figure out what happened. But Larry knew. And his parents knew, and his sister knew. So that healing right there wasn't just for his benefit. That healing was to help his parents understand too. Because I met Larry at a friend's house, he started going to church with me. He got saved. But his family, they're like, we had a lot of hippies and Harley people in my, I guess, town or whatever. And they were kind of like that. And like, yeah, it's cool, man. It's like, everything's cool. And I believe in the age of Aquarius. I didn't talk to them much, so I can't say what they really believed at all. But they were cool with him going. They just weren't into it themselves. And, yeah, let's just say they believe. And so that's why I don't feel like I fit in with anything, because it's like the independent fundamental bachelor, like healing is not for today, it's not for today. It's like, yeah, I've seen otherwise. And I know that God can and does. And then don't even get me started with the tongues thing, because I think it's definitely abused in the church. I've had plenty of people just try to make me speak in tongues. It's like, I'm not saying it's not true. There's different types. Like speaking in a different language is one of them that I've heard, and I believe that's possible. And I believe that does happen, like for missionaries. Also, I don't know what you call it, but I remember in a vision I had, I was speaking words that you can't speak with the human tongue, because it was like a waterfall, and I was catching it with a thimble, and I was just overflowing. And then I was reading lyrics from King's X, and it said, one day I'll see him face to face, or one day I'll see you face to face, because King's X is kind of, they're vague. But I just remember it flowed right out of me, and I put my hand over my mouth, and was like scared to death or whatever it was. And that happened. Now, I've had people that I was friends with that said that when they speak in tongues, that yeah, they do it, and it's from them. I'm like, well, see, I believe it's from God. So if you're doing it and you're controlling it, and I know what they say, that it's subject to the prophet and blah, 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 blah. I'm just saying, I think that if you're doing it, how are you going to know when it's real and when it's just you doing it? And I remember one of my friends was like, he was just brought up like that. He was brought up in a charismatic, Pentecostal, whatever church. And I was like, oh gosh, I think I'm turning my friend into an atheist, but I hope his faith is not hinged on speaking in tongues, because that's not what God's all about. So it's one of those things where I believe you really need to dig into the Word, study the Word. I believe the Bible is the foundation of our faith. It is a written testimony from eyewitnesses. When people say, can you prove Jesus without the Bible? Can you prove your whatever you believe in without the source information? That's a stupid, stupid thing for atheists to try to tell me to do. It's like, that is the reliable witnesses of people who saw it happen. So I'm going to believe them more than I'm going to believe somebody from this century, because you weren't there. They were. And they go, oh, well, how do you know then? And blah, 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 blah. I go, because if it wasn't true 2,000 years ago, it would have died. It would have died for two reasons. Number one, when they were martyred, they'd say, just kidding, guys, just kidding. Not a single one of them gave up being martyred. Who would die for a lie? No one. Yeah, well, even if they did die for a lie, all they had to do was find the body, produce it, like, after the resurrection. All you had to do is just find the body and produce it. They couldn't do that. If they would have produced the body and said, here's the body, what are you guys talking about? He's not alive, he's right here. It'd have been over. It'd have been done. There would have been no Christianity. So Satan couldn't defeat it. And that's why in around 300, the 4th century, he decided to manipulate and distort it and create a false Christianity that has prevailed over this world. And I'm not going to talk about that right now, because that's not the point of me being here. But I just want you to know, like, I don't consider myself part of any denomination because of the fact that I haven't found one that says, yes, we believe in this, but we don't believe in sensationalism, I guess you can say. I'm against sensationalism because I don't believe that. And you're like, well, didn't you get saved from a sensation? No, I got saved because the Holy Spirit fell upon that place. I ain't kidding you. That was not some sensation. It was not something you'd reproduce. And I was making that self-clear because somebody did ask me the other day, and I was like, well, it's kind of hard to type out, so I'll try to do a video. All right. I'll come back with other videos on other subjects. I had a few subjects. I was dreaming about it on Monday. I woke up and it was raining. I was like, crap. I can't remember what they were now. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll try to do a video response.